get this
You
going.
remembered.
So, yes, I did. I did. Jatoya, welcome, welcome, welcome to Nutrition and Mindset for Women. I am so happy you're here. I just want you all to know Jatoya is the founder of Bariatric Paths, and she has a magnificently huge vision. And today, because her story is so powerful, I wanted her to share it with you. I want you to join her in this story. I want you to become part of her world. She does podcasts, she does all kinds of things. We're going to put at the very end of this some of her information so that you can follow her and all of that in the comments, in the description. So, Jatoya, who are you? Tell us who
Hi.
you are.
Hi.
Besides the woman
So,
who has amazing glasses all the time. I've never
thank
seen you in the
you.
same pair twice. I love it.
It's usually depending on the outfit, but yes, I try to keep it spiced up with my creativity with the glasses. But yes, I am Jatoyia Armour, the founder of Bariatric Paths. I am a mom of three precious, beautiful sunshine joys that keep me busy throughout the day. Wife and someone who just has recently gone on this weight loss journey within the last few years. I had bariatric surgery in 2023, October. And since then, I have lost 178 pounds. So,
Wow.
very dramatic.
Yeah, that's traumatic. It is over a couple of years, everybody. This is not, we
No, no,
always
no. It
are
did
like
not happen overnight.
slow and steady wins the race is the best thing. But I mean, but you know what? Honestly, and I can't wait to hear your whole entire story because I want to hear like what brought you to that decision that you made. What were some of the things that were feeling beforehand? Why you made that decision? But also more importantly, what has led to your success after that decision? Because I've had a number of clients of mine as a health and wellness coach who had prior bariatric surgery and gained a lot of weight back after a number of years. And and every single one told me I wasn't told how not to get the way I was to start with. I didn't,
Mhm.
nobody helped me with that part, or they gave me some little list and no guidance, nowhere to follow. And what was wonderful is that, my clients were able to get to uh, even a lower weight than their post-bariatric surgery weight. And,
Mhm.
again, and it's been an amazing journey. And, but even better is if you don't have to do that. So you just have a wonderful story here. So tell me a little bit about what brought you into that decision to have that bariatric surgery. How old were your kids? What was happening in life? What were your thoughts? How did you feel about yourself? All of those things.
So, I have been overweight most of my life, even from a child. I was always the big chunky girl. And as I got older, I would kind of yo-yo. So I would try a diet fad, lose a few pounds, and then stop and gain it back, and then try something else. And then it had got to the point where I was never consistently successful. So I had got to the point where I had lost almost 80 pounds and then I gained it all back and more. And I just had got to a point where I was saying, okay, so this is me. I'm going to be a plus size girl. I never hated how I looked. I loved that I was able to find the fashion that looked cute on me, and I had the quirky glasses. That was always my thing. So I became complacent. And by the time I got to where I wanted to look into the surgery, it was literally because I had changed jobs and my insurance covered it. And so I was like, well, this is something that I haven't tried. So maybe we'll give this one last go because I felt like this was probably going to be, if it was going to happen, it was going to happen with this surgery.
So, but
And
before that
mhm.
surgery, so you got that, the surgery became an option, but I remember you telling me a little bit about some of the physical problems you started to have. Was that one of the reasons you started to go back and look and because of your, what, or was it simply that the insurance was going to cover it?
Well, I was always trying to figure out a way to continue to lose weight, even if it was just a little weight. But it had got to the point, my highest weight, I was 387 pounds. And it was where when I stood, if I stood for longer than about 5 minutes, I would start to feel my back go numb, where I couldn't feel anything. And I remember saying to myself, oh my gosh, you're literally crushing yourself. And it was that moment where I realized that, okay, this is a bigger deal. This is something that I really do have to address.
Yeah,
And it just so happened that that happened right around the time I switched jobs. And I was like, okay, I have this new insurance. What are the options? And when I saw that the surgery was an option, I jumped right on it. I was like, I want
yeah,
to go ahead and do it. And
yeah.
so
Because it
that's
wasn't,
kind of like started it.
yeah, it wasn't about looks for you. It was that something is going wrong here, and this isn't a healthy place for me to be. And I find
Hmm.
it funny that you say that it was a job. My health journey went, uh, when I was sick, I was extremely overweight. I'm not a tall person, as you met me. I'm not a tall person. Um, and it wasn't until I had a job change that pattern interrupt, that something that opened up possibilities, um, and changed the way I was thinking. And they didn't have a surgery per se, and I wouldn't have I wasn't at that place, but they had a Biggest Loser contest. And because of all these things being different, and of course that was not the right way to lose weight. That's part of my story. Um, but it's an interesting parallel for us both that our opportunities came with a pretty radical change in our situation.
Yeah.
So
And then, like, for me, I never had high blood pressure. I was never diabetic, pre-diabetic. So health-wise, I was just overweight, but it wasn't causing any health ailments. So when my back started going numb, that was like the pattern disruptor because that was like the first time that my weight had impacted me where I felt like it's going to kill me. And I never had that type of feeling before. I was just like, I'm a cute, chunky girl. Love me. I'm awesome.
which you
But
were,
then
and
it
you
was
are
just like, yeah,
absolutely beautiful, because you were
thank
always
you.
beautiful. That I mean, I saw, I even shared one of your pictures. I'm like, you're so gorgeous. Like this isn't even, this just is not even about a look or a vanity thing. It's, and
Mm-mm.
it was interesting because one of the things you said was that, you really wanted to do something. You had kids. You want to be there. You decided that this was the thing to do. So what changed between your internal self-talk and, you mentioned that you had a mindset shift through this whole entire thing, but let's talk about the weight loss surgery, your decision to do that, um, and your experience there. What was the experience like with the medical community? What kind of support did you have? We got to talk about some of these realizations when we met in person. So I'd love for you to tell
Mhm.
just sort of what happened, what were some of the logistics around that, and what were some of the big aha moments that you had, um, throughout all that you realized that it wasn't about just the surgery. There was more to it.
So when I decided that I wanted to look into the surgery, I knew that if this was going to be different, I had to do some self-reflection. And so it forced me to really look at why the previous diets and the previous changes didn't work and what I needed to address before I even got cut. And I knew that for me to be successful, that was going to be some internal work and I just had to ask myself, okay, how did we get here? How did we become so okay with being over 380 pounds and not being worried until we lose the numbness in our back? Like, why didn't we have these triggers or these alerts in ourselves before? And through the work, I realized that I was mom, I was wife, I was teacher and leader in my school. And everything else just came above what I needed. So it really wasn't that I didn't care about myself. I just didn't see myself as a priority compared to everything else I had to do. And so
Yeah.
when getting ready for this surgery, it was the first time I had to say, what do I need to do this every day for the rest of my life? And I don't think I ever asked about specifically just Toya without it being in addition to someone else. So, like, what do I need as a mother for my kids? What do I need as a wife? But this was just, what does Toya need as a woman who wants to be healthy and thriving? And that type of realization changed everything
Yeah.
because it made me realize that it's not being selfish. It really is self-care. You are finding value in yourself, value in your body, value in your own experience. Because,
Independent, right? Independent of everything else. You are worthy
yes.
as Toya, not just because you're a mom or just because you're a wife or just because you're a fantastic teacher and a leader in your school or because of what you could do or how useful were to other people. And I mean, I hear that. That was part of my
Hmm.
story. I used to joke that I put myself so far on the back burner that I wasn't even on the stove,
Hmm.
you know?
Exactly.
And that's what it sounds like you're
Exactly.
describing. Yeah.
And it never, and again, because it was never a health concern, I was like, I'm good. There's other fires I need to worry about. So when I started to think about, okay, what do I need to do? What was making me like, I know I could lose the weight because I've done it, but like, why wasn't it consistent? Why wasn't I able to keep it off? And so those were the type of things that I started doing the work for myself because I just realized that's what I needed to do. And I that was when, as I was getting ready for surgery, starting to do the like pre-work with the doctors and the appointments, I had got excited because I was like, okay, I'm about to get some resources. I'm about to really do the work and learn how to prepare for this. And that's when I saw it was a lot of prepping for the surgery, but not necessarily prepping for the lifestyle. And that's what I was really looking for. I wanted to understand the lifestyle before I got cut. And I couldn't, not that I couldn't, but I just wasn't giving
There was no,
those
but
resources.
first of all, that's amazing because I know that there are probably people watching today who have had gastric bypass, and I'm wondering,
Mhm.
or bariatric surgeries, wondering if that was a similar experience. Did you go in
Mhm.
knowing, and feel free to like, did people, whoever's listening, did you go into this knowing that you were going to have to change a lifestyle, or was it the thought that the surgery is going to fix everything? And I know I've talked to people on both sides, and I am first of all just kudos to you for having that realization ahead of time, but also because you were expecting it and didn't get it. And of course, it makes sense. Why wouldn't they want you to be successful long term? Why would they not tell you this, right? Why would
Mhm.
they not help you with that part? And so I'm really interested in knowing that since they didn't give it, how did you get it? And, you know, uh, is there, what resources maybe didn't you get that you would have liked to have had that you hope that, become more mainstream?
I think when I was going back into the reflection of what worked and what didn't work, I knew how to diet. I knew if you give me the plan and you give me the steps, I was good at it. But I saw that the reason why I didn't maintain it is because I didn't make lifestyle changes. And so that's what really made me see that it's bigger than just the diet, it's bigger than just the surgery. That's just one step. But for you to really be able to consistently keep this and consistently make changes, you got to think about the other stuff outside of the surgery. And so when I was looking for these resources and I wanted to like have therapists, I wanted to really look into like my relationship with food, my relationship with myself, how all of that is going to impact this journey. And I did my psych appointment and it was 15 minutes and it was like, okay, do you want to harm yourself? All right. You in right mind? Great. Sign off. You're good for surgery. And I was just like, I'm
Wait,
not
that, and
healed
you're like,
though.
wait, that's the psych appointment. The
That's
psych
it.
appointment was to make sure I wasn't suicidal, and that was it. I thought this was
I
about, yeah. So you were very
I
disappointed, I
had
imagine.
came in with like a list of stuff I wanted to talk about my childhood and why I like ice cream so much. And it was got none of that. And so I was saying, okay, I knew that's what I needed. So you guys aren't giving it to me. It's not part of the program. I'm going to get it myself. So I researched, found a therapist, started working with her, and we started meeting up until the surgery. And the main goal of the sessions was to have those conversations, have those reflections, and really dig deep in what I needed to in order to sustain. And I really don't feel that my doctors and I love, and I'm saying this because I don't want to be negative because I do love them. They were very professional. I felt like medically, I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. I felt very prepared for the recovery, the pre-op. I did everything I was supposed to. Everything went lovely. I didn't have any complications. So medically, 100%, I did everything. But after that follow-up appointment, it's just kind of like, okay, you're good. And so if you're successful or not, you still got our money. Like we've done our job. Like this is on you. And so I really wish that that was available more easily and not me having to like search for it and look for it because when you go online, there's like all the Facebook groups, but when you're dealing with the Facebook groups, everyone is not positive. Everyone is not intentional in their message. And some people feel like they're being judged. Some people want to judge. So
Yeah, and
it was
everybody's
just
like, well,
like
this
Wild
is
Wild
what worked for
West.
me. Yeah, right. So,
Yes.
let's,
And that
so,
was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing of why I wanted to create Bariatric Paths because everyone was saying this worked for me. And they were saying it as a way of because it worked for me, this is what you need to do so it works for you. And that's not the case. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's weight loss and how they lose weight is different. We can have 15 people have the same surgery and have 15 different results. And that's
yeah,
okay. That's what
that,
it's supposed to do. No one is at fault for that. But I felt like it was almost kind of like we were all taking a test
yeah.
that no one could pass.
Well, right. Well, and on that, there are multiple different kinds of surgeries. There's more than one type
Mhm,
of weight loss surgery. There are people, I love that you described to me, a bariatric path is just a weight loss journey. It doesn't mean that you had to have surgery to be on a bariatric
mhm,
path. I was on a bariatric path. I did it a different way. Um,
mhm,
And, and in my case, I was pre-diabetic. I had high blood pressure. My body was in pain. My jaw, I couldn't open my mouth. Like it was terrible. Like I had a whole bunch of stuff happening. My legs were swelling up. I was miserable. I wasn't sleeping. All the, I was definitely in a very, very poor state of health. Um, you're one of that group of people who, I think 10 to 15% at most of people who, are just heavier in general are completely metabolically healthy at that weight. Like they have it. The only
mhm,
issue is it gets to the point where there's a structural. Like our bones don't get bigger just because we do. That our
mhm.
skeleton is still trying to do the same work regardless, right? And
And then I'm 5'9". So I'm also taller than the average woman. So even though I was 387 pounds, most people didn't know or think that I was 387 pounds because I just didn't carry it like that. So it was very easy to just pretend that it was okay because no one was saying, ooh, you're a little bit, no one told me that. They're just like, oh, you're such a fabulous thick girl. And I'm like, yeah, I am.
I'm fabulous. Yes, and you are. So you have some notes here for me. What I love, like, just there were two things that you brought out of all of that work that you did. That
Mhm,
you had two mindset tools. You said you had a daily must-do list in my note, and like when we chatted, and then your
mhm,
this thing you called this radical grace, right? So tell me a
mhm.
little bit about how these two habits really became part of your lifestyle and how they allowed you to become successful in your journey. And And I mean, I mean, I feel like every single person who wants to, lose weight or are on this journey, even if it's not that, some people are ill, they need to gain weight. There's all different ways of being, like of not being healthy, regardless of the weight, right? Weight is a symptom some people have, even if it's most people.
Mhm.
But um, I think, and I talked about this in my, last week as well, but there is a requirement, I think, for everybody who wants to make that journey. And you have a choice to see it as a diet or a pill or a supplement or like a one-time thing that is done and then you move on and go back to normal, which of course we know the new normal in today's world is not a healthy normal for people.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so everybody needs to do what you did. Everybody needs to ask that question, well, why did I get here? What brought me to this place? And then that's different for everybody. And everybody,
Hmm.
I like to say, everybody, you're going from New York to California. There's a gazillion different ways of doing that. And no two people you necessarily have to take the same exact route to get to their end destination. And even within California, they might have lots of little different destinations, right? Um,
Hmm.
so, that journey is absolutely unique. So yes, tell us what are some of those things that you learned that you really carried with you, the most impactful things for your lifestyle and how you move forward and how impactful that was to your success in weight loss and where are you now in your weight loss journey in your
So
bariatric path?
now, yeah. So now I am very much sustaining and maintaining. I think the biggest thing that I had to figure out was how to make it work and make it a lifestyle change. So I had to be realistic on what my lifestyle is. Like, I'm not going to stop being a mother or a wife just because I'm losing weight. So I had to figure out how to still make sure that they're okay, but also be intentional in making sure I'm okay. And I am a planner. I'm the one that has the calendar, the to-do list, the sticky notes. So the only thing that I really had to change was I had to make sure that on those sticky notes and on that calendar, I make sure I scheduled myself too. So working out, I had to be intentional on when am I working out? And this is the time I'm going to work out. And that worked for me because I knew if I say, oh, I'll work out sometime today, life will life and the day will be gone and I haven't done anything for myself. And I realized that if I need to be intentional, I had to schedule it. I had to schedule making sure I took my vitamins. I had to schedule water. So I will have alerts saying, have you drunk your water? Those sort of things that I needed to kind of make sure that as I'm going through the day, still remember to take care of me. That's important too. And that's why with the to-do list and the first thing in the morning, after I do my workout, my devotion, I sit there and I go, what can I do? What I hope to do, and what, yay, if I get to it, but it's okay if I don't.
Mm,
And being realistic, because sometimes what do I have to do will be two things. And it might take me all day to get those two things done, but some days I can do six. But giving, and that's why it's like it's hand in hand with that radical grace. Because while I'm making that to-do list, if I don't get it done, I don't get it done. Like, I'm only human. I'm only one person. I tried. I tried my hardest. We'll try
yeah,
again tomorrow.
right.
It's okay. And
Yeah.
being okay with that and not
Right.
stressing
Well,
about
it's like a
that.
marathon, right? If we try to set ourselves up to do too much, it's like the tortoise and the hare. The hare's trying to run and just do everything. But that's what got us into the
Mhm.
problems that we had in the first place. I know that's what got me into the problem in the first place was
Mhm.
doing above and beyond 300% for every other person in my life and a 0% for me. Like
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be perfect on a daily basis. We just have to recognize that we're striving for a harmonic balance, right? I think our
Mhm.
mutual friend, um, Melissa, calls it
Yeah.
harmonic balance. And
Mhm.
you know, so so I love that. So I would love to
Because I
hear now.
started with
Yeah.
saying like the bare minimum. So bare minimum was working out 3 times a week, trying to drink as much water as possible, hitting my protein goals. That was the bare minimum that I was like, you have to do. You have to make sure this gets done weekly. If it doesn't, okay. But that's like my threshold of what I needed. And then as I started hitting goals, as I started getting stronger, my bare minimum increased. And if
Yes.
it gets to the point where I'm getting older and menopause hit and I can't do it anymore and I have to lower it, I'm just going to lower it. But I'm going to like keep it realistic for what I can do so that it's not stressful for me.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. If it starts stressing you out, there's no way you're healing yourself if you're stressed
No.
out about the
Yeah,
heal.
especially chronically. I mean, we know that stress is as damaging as not sleeping or eating, way too much sugar or, food that is not helpful for our body, that stresses our body. So there are physical stressors. But
Mhm.
but the stressors of stress is actually a physical stress in our body. There are so many studies out there that actually can show physical changes in our body and inflammation just from that worry and that stress. And so when we set that bar too high for ourselves, um, it's really not worth it. And it's not fun either, So
No.
and so you're the founder of Bariatric Paths. I think we're all interested in
Yes.
hearing about what does that mean and what is the message that you're trying to get out there with Bariatric Paths and how can people follow you? What do you do right now? I know you have a podcast, which I'm hoping you share with everybody as well.
Yes. So through this journey, my child bariatric paths was born. And it was really just the message is every journey is different. And it's yours. No one should judge you on whatever journey you take. And like you said, a lot of people, when they hear bariatric, they automatically think of surgery. But bariatric is just you losing weight with medical assistance, whatever that medical assistance is. So whether it's Ozempic or you're just working with a nutritionist, that's still a bariatric
Or a health
path.
or a health
Or
coach.
a health coach, exactly. And regardless, they're still saying the themes are all the same. We're all trying to make ourselves better. We're all trying to do what we can to improve. And those are the themes that should bring together community. And it shouldn't be a competition. And so that's my brainchild. Bariatric Paths has flourished into a podcast. So weekly, I have different people come on and they're sharing their journey. So I've had surgical people come on, non-surgical. I've had all the different types of surgeries. And then I like to also the different journeys. So I've had someone who just came from the hospital right after their surgery. And then I've also had someone, it's been 15 years since their surgery because those different parts of the journey have different needs and thoughts and reflections that I think should be shared. So it's just to be a resource for you to kind of hear other people and know like, oh, I'm not alone. This is not weird. This is okay. Like it's normal.
Yeah.
And so the goal is eventually we're going to start doing events where it's just us coming together, sharing our journeys in person, learning from each other, and kind of
Speakers
take
coming
what you
in,
like.
workshops,
Yes.
yeah, speakers, workshops, seminars, those types
Yes.
of things.
Different like fitness activities, just making it fun and not making it so stressful and competitive because when that happens, you're not going to sustain it.
That's
It's not
exactly,
fun.
oh my gosh. Did you read, you've been reading my post? No, I don't know that you have, but I have been talking about this. I said, I am so tired of the health journey being something that somebody looks at and says, oh no. I guess I have to do this. My doctor said X, or I gotta do this thing. It's never worked in the past. Just like, right. I mean, I had diets on and off and it was hard. And then I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Because I was tracking every little thing and it was so stressful and it took so, I would spend an hour and a half just trying to remember and get every little morsel into a tracker. And then I'd be like, I didn't even get a chance to relax today. That 1 hour and a half was all I had to my life outside of giving to everybody else. And I was tracking food. And of course, it wasn't going to work for a long time because I hated doing it
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
working out 7 days a week to the point where I was dripping sweat all the time and not eating enough to sustain that level of activity so that I was so angry and hangry that I was biting everybody's heads off. And I mean, it wasn't good. It didn't, I was losing weight, but wasn't sustainable. I gained a lot of that back because I did not love that. It wasn't miserable. It wasn't aligned to who I was. It wasn't fun. And I believe
Hmm.
that you can have fun on your health journey in that, where you're discovering how to eat and do things like whether, yes, you've got to drink water. Let's schedule it in. But, if you're like my
But
husband,
you can drink it in like a pretty cup.
I, he hates water. So we have Stir, which has stevia
Flavor.
and
Oh
natural,
yeah,
and so
flavor
we
waters.
figured out there are different ways to do it,
Hmm.
there's always a way for yourself.
Hmm.
And but you have to want it and you have to recognize what might have been keeping you from getting there in the first place. And that's not going to keep you from getting where you want to go, but being aware of those things helps you do what I
Hmm.
call shape the path and work your way around those obstacles or figure out a way that is going to work for you. Maybe it's a smaller baby step, maybe it's tweaking
Hmm.
something a little bit. So I
One thing that
absolutely
my
love your
doctor
message.
did, thank you. But one thing that my doctor did for me that I do appreciate is he never gave me a goal weight. And that irked me because I was just like, okay, what are we doing this for? Like, where do I need to get to? And he basically said, when your body is done losing, it'll stop. And it will be where you eat your protein, you working out, you're drinking your water, and you're just maintaining. And he was like, and when you get there, you'll know. And I was just like, uh-huh, okay, but what's the number? He would not tell me. And it really forced me to, like he said, just continue the journey. So when I stalled, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm done. And then I would just keep going, keep hitting my goals, keep working out, and then I'll start losing again. I think I'm 18 months out, and I think I'm finally maintaining. And I'm okay because I'm just enjoying it now. I've
Yeah.
learned to love Pilates. It scared me when I first started, but now I love it so much. It burns, it hurts, but it's fun and relaxing for some reason. And I have I have my protein waters that are tasty and my favorite waters throughout the day. I'm still hitting my protein goals and it's like because I didn't have that number to make it a stressful experience, I just learned to love the journey and just be okay with where I am in my journey. And so I think that's why it's going to work for me this time. It's going to maintain because it was never a stopping point. This is the beginning. Like we're still in
Yes.
this journey. It's not going to ever end. I'm not ever
Yeah.
done or
Our
I haven't
healthcare,
reached my goal.
our healthcare and self-care journey doesn't have an end point until we pass
Hmm.
away. We are, and you know, I've been at my weight, which is where my body wants to be. I had gotten a little bit lower than this. I probably 10 pounds less than this, and I felt sick. I didn't feel it wasn't, and that was
Hmm.
because I had had a surgery. I had been sick and I had a surgery and I had lost weight and I'm really happy where I am right now. And I mean, is it perfect? I mean, like, no, it's not. I don't care.
No.
I mean, I love where I'm at. I feel great every single day. I
Hmm.
sleep fantastic. All my lab numbers are great. All the ones that I know matter the most, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily the ones everybody else is looking at, but the ones that are the really important ones for my metabolic health. And I know how I feel. And that is important. And so my actual weight, I don't panic if I go up 5 pounds or 10 and down 5 pounds or 10, if it's plus or minus 5 pounds, like
good. You're
It's
breathing. You're human.
yeah,
It
I'm like,
happens.
this is great. And well, wait, but it happens at certain times of the year or when I'm more or less active or when
Hmm.
when it gets dark early outside. And I know that some of those are our natural rhythms from
Hmm.
thousands of years ago. Why am I going to fight
Hmm.
it? It's okay.
Yeah. Just
Not, it
keep
doesn't, it
your
doesn't mean
journey. Keep
anything.
going.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything as long as I'm healthy and I'm doing well. Right. So, I want to thank you so much for being here today. And what we're going to be doing is sharing how to get in touch with you. We'll be putting the link to your podcast where everybody can access
Yeah.
it. And
Bariatric Paths is on all streaming. The website is bariatricpaths.com. All of the social media is Bariatric Paths. I got on it. I make sure anything Bariatric Paths is mine. No one else has
you go. You did it.
it. Yeah.